this video, I'm going to be talking about my Gretsch G9240 Alligator Resonator. So I've had this guitar for almost 10 years now. I think I got it in like 2016. So this is not like, an unboxing. I just bought the thing and I'm going to go over all the specs and everything. So this is an actual long-term test of the guitar, and I'm gonna go over some of the thoughts I've had over the years with it. Like I was saying, I had this guitar for almost 10 years now. I played it a lot when I first got it, the first few years, and after that it was kind of just, I had it around. I would kind of noodle with it, I made a couple videos with it here and there, but over time I had actually bought a National Tricone resonator that you might have seen on my channel, and I started using that a lot more when I would want like a resonator type sound, but that didn't necessarily take away from my opinion of this guitar. I really love it, and I recently took it out and put some new strings on it, and I'm like kind of blown away at how I kind of forgot how awesome of a guitar it really is. And just I'm gonna come right out and say I'm really happy with it. I'm happy I kept it and never sold it or anything, because it's fucking awesome. I just love it. Like I put some Elixir 12 to 53, these like Polyweb coated strings, which I really like on acoustic guitars just because they last really long. And the coating type 2, it kind of does warm up the sound a little bit, which these resonators sometimes can be kind of harsh sounding, and those strings can help to kind of, I guess it's the coating or something, or maybe just the alloy maybe or something, like it helps to tame a bit of the really harsh sound, which, depending on what you're going for, you may or may not want to do that, but I kind of like to tame it a little bit. But anyway, it's beside the point. I'm not affiliated with Gretsch or Elixir or any of these brands or anything. This is just honest opinions. But like the amount of like harmonics and overtones that this guitar has for like something that's priced like this, it's just... Brief overview, you could find these specs anywhere. I think they still sell the guitar. It's a single cone resonator guitar, and it's like a round neck, so it's not meant to be played like on your lap like this. It's meant to just be played like a regular guitar. I just have like the factory setup. I think I bought it from a musician's friend way back when. I never set it up any differently or anything. I've experimented with some different string types, but overall, like, it's still the original action and everything is the same. It is pretty, I will say, going back to it now after taking a break from it, it is a pretty, I don't know if you can tell, it does have a pretty high action, but, for a resonator, that's not out of the realm of, it's not like abnormal or anything. There's a lot of people do play these guitars with slides, so having the higher action can be nice. It's definitely like, I think if I ever do take it somewhere, I would like to maybe experiment with lowering it a bit. But as far as like a resonator goes, it's pretty much like a standard setup for that. Overall, like this is not, relatively to the price of guitars these days, this is not an expensive guitar. I want to say I paid like maybe 300 or 400 bucks brand new when I got it. But still, relative to guitars, it's still an entry-level price point, and it's kind of crazy how awesome the guitar is for that price. Like this is like a steal for that. Especially when you, like the issue with resonator guitars, it's kind of frustrating, is there's not much intermediate level price points for them. It's kind of just, and not that the price point indicates anything about a guitar in terms of its like playability or its, it means nothing, but I'm just sort of just ranting here a bit. But so resonators, there's, kind of these more lower budget kind of friendly models, and then like the Gretsch, for example. I don't know if Republic is still in business, but I know they were more kind of an intermediate, and they were kind of cool because they had a lot more configurations and options. Like Gretsch, I think they really only have they have a couple different like these like wooden hybrid ones, and then I think they have a steel one as well, or maybe it's brass. But Republic had I think they had some cutaway options, some like parlor options. I think they had tricones too, which was pretty cool. I've only played them one time, and they were it was pretty similar like build quality and feel as the Gretsch. Honestly, it's just they had a lot more options, which if that's your thing, you want to experiment more with the different setups and different tricone versus single cone and the metal and stuff. That was definitely a good option. And then really you got to just kind of go up to like over 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 now, like for the Nationals or the Mules. I've never played the Mules, but I would like to at some point. I have more experience with National, so I have a tricone mahogany. So it's the M1 tricone. It actually has the cutaway, which is really cool. That guitar is awesome. It's definitely a different vibe and a different setup. The ones I've played, at least, they can be a little bit more, they're set up to be resonators, so they're a little bit, I don't want to say harder to play, but it could just be, it's, setup and everything. They have a pretty big, wide neck action. The action you could change, so it's not really the end of the world, but there's a very wide nut width on the one I have. And so it can be kind of hard, and like when you're in like a standard, like an E, you're tuned to like a E pitch, E standard tuning or something, the tension is really high on it, so it can be kind of difficult to play, and it takes a bit of getting used to. I find this one a little bit, I don't want to say easier to play necessarily, because you can get used to any guitar, but it feels a little bit more, I think someone in the market for a resonator who doesn't necessarily have much experience, and you might only have regular acoustic guitar experience, this kind of feels a little bit more like an acoustic guitar, so that's something to think about. The neck feels like, in terms of the shape and the nut width and things like that, it feels like, pretty standard acoustic guitar type thing, so it's much easier of a transition than the Nationals. I'm not knocking the National at all, I really like them, but that's something to think about and consider. In terms of like issues that I've had with the guitar, probably could be my fault, or could just be this one I have, but I find I keep breaking, I think it's this last string here, it breaks kind of easily. The thing is, with these resonators, I do down tune them quite a bit and put them in open tunings and then back and experiment with that type of thing. So, I think that's going to really wear on the strings and, cause them to break eventually. So I've just noticed it's been a little bit more of an issue on this guitar, but it could just be, I probably could, maybe it's just like a sharp point at the nut or the tuner or something that I could probably figure out, but that's just one thing I've noticed. But again, that's not a huge issue. Something else too I did, this was completely my fault though. So these resonators have this metal bar that goes over the, I guess you'd call it the bridge, where like the strings contact with the wood there. And I didn't realize how fragile the actual resonator cone is, because they're very thin. I ended up taking this metal plate off because I thought it'd be easier for like, because you're not really able to palm mute as much with this thing. You can learn to work around it, like you can do some muting up here, but it's much more limited than a regular guitar. So I was trying to use that to be able to palm mute, and then I didn't realize that you have to be very careful with the pressure that you put over here on the bridge, because you can actually, at least what I did, it ended up like depressing the cone, and it bent it to where I couldn't use it anymore. And so I had to actually buy a replacement cone and then swap it out, and that was a whole thing, but it ended up working out. So just be careful if you're going to do that, but that's not a knock on the guitar. I could have done that on any resonator. I didn't know that was as, you have to be careful in doing that. These are all just kind of personal thoughts on it too, so everyone's going to be different. The action is kind of high, but it's a resonator, so they're kind of meant to be somewhat, geared towards slide guitar, so I understand why they set them up that way. Really happy with it. I highly recommend, if you've never owned a resonator guitar and you're thinking of, is it worth it to go to the Mule Guitar National? Because the price difference is kind of crazy, this is like, what, 10% of the cost of one of those things. So like, I highly recommend, definitely try them out before you buy them, because you might find something on the National that makes it, you can't really, you kind of have to go that way. But if you're just getting into resonator guitars, I highly recommend checking these Gretsch resonators out, because they're insane value for the money, and I'm still so happy with this thing. Like I was just doing some recording with it, and it's just been like, I'm just really happy that I still have it and I didn't sell it or anything. So yeah, very, very happy with it. Highly recommend it. If you want me to make a more detailed comparison between this guitar and my National guitar, definitely leave a comment below. Thank you so much for watching. If you're into slide guitar and other guitar related content, I have a lot of that on my channel. So if you could consider subscribing, that'd be great, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thank you.